Thank you for the follow, Hoss. Welcome, welcome. And thank you for the follow, Twitch Jesus. Or Twitch Jesus. So, I didn't have any plans during the day today, so I figured we might as well get a head start on the next chapter of rigging Kayla 2's face, or at least, you know, putting together the rigging system that will be used to rig Kayla 2's face. Good morning, Billy. And today, instead of doing boring programming like we normally do, we are going to do some R&D. We're just going to rig an eyelid from scratch to come up with the overall rigging design methods that we're going to end up using for it. So we're going to have a good time. Y'all can help me come up with different solutions and stuff like that. The goal right now is to make it curve-based, so we have some joints riding on curves that'll conform to any eye shape and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and set up this model for it. I think for this test... Hello, Peter. I think for this test, let's just open up the prep file, save this off into its own file, and delete everything but the model. Where will we save this? Call this work_lid test 01. Now let's delete that whole joint group. And we can pretty much just delete everything except for skin geo. And then we can just delete everything except for the lid area. Okay. That should be good for this test. And I'll just give it a flat shader for no particular reason. Alright, good enough. And we can get rid of my custom rigging tool set because we're just going to be working from scratch here. So the first thing we need to do is create some curves that represent the top lid and the bottom lid. 2 for each, because one's going to represent this this sort of crease here. Maybe I'll come up with a better name for that. Lid meat? Lid... Normally I just call it lid crease. I guess I'll just stick with lid crease. Now there's definitely a way to create a curve from a selected edge loop, though I definitely don't remember how to do that off the top of my head. Let's see, curves. Or maybe it's under modify, convert. Polygon edges to curve, let's try that. So the question is, yeah, I guess we'll start by doing that and then we'll rebuild the curve. So we'll do it for the actual lid area first. So starting here, and then follow this up with some double clicks. what happens if we go modify, convert polygon edges to curves, form, best guess, should be all right. Hooray, that worked great. And then we can just rebuild it according to how many, whatchamacallits we want, how many controllers we want. Hello, the animation Muppet. The reason we're manually rigging is because we are exploring today. This isn't going to stick around. We're just doing a test to explore how we want to end up scripting out the eyelid rig for the future. And it's just quicker to do it manually and explore different ideas without having to script it out in the process. It's also probably just more fun to watch as a stream viewer. Wait a second. Shoot, we were supposed to go one below that, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be too precise. Just pull it down manually. Delete that history. Now let's do the bottom one. Thanks for the following, Mashao. No, don't do that. Let's follow this up until we hit the intersection. Is that it? No, one more. And then can we just hit G to do it again? No, we can't. So modify, convert polygon edges to curve. Okay. So now we have our two curves here. And then we should also do it for the outer crease. This is my first time doing this setup, so apologies in advance for the exploratory nature, but maybe that's what it'll make it fun. Maybe we should do one end. Run that again. And the bottom one. Whoops. And one last time. Convert to curve. Okay, now we have our 4 curves that actual joints will ride along. So let's go ahead and name these L lid upper CRV, L lid lower CRV, L lid crease upper CRV, and lower. Okay. So now I guess before we do anything else, maybe we should create some joints and make them follow along with these curves so that we can visually see what's happening. Thanks for the follow, Spidey. So let's go ahead and select the vertices that we want to create joints around. I guess for the sake of this test, I'll do every other joint, or sorry, every other vertex. We're gonna have this one, then just select every other. so tedious. And I guess we'll select that last one too, since it didn't perfectly line up. Or maybe in this case we'll shift these two just to make it more even. Should be all right. Or maybe, maybe when you get to the edge here, you should just always have the final two. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll go ahead and add that one in there. So we will, I think I have a tool somewhere on my shelf that'll just create a vertex at each of these. Vertex joint 2, maybe? Yeah. No, let's do it for outer row of the top. Or I guess we should name these as we go in order. It could get confusing once we have a ton of joints sitting everywhere. Hello, Rig Station. Welcome to Eyelid Day. Comment, rename. We're gonna call these... Thanks for the follow, DS Morali Haas. Okay, so we got left, lid, upper, bind. Create a joint group. A world group. And a geo group. And a control group for later. Thanks for the follow, Niza Muddy Novi. Honestly, the hardest thing about streaming is pronouncing everybody's name so far. I hope I got that right. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the same thing we did for the outer row. Oh, I guess we did one in. And then once we get up to this point, just select every other one. Make it a bit more lightweight. Okay. Create more joints. And then select them in order and run comment rename again. And then we just got to do that twice more for the bottom lid. You know what? I just realized for the sake of testing, we don't really need to do the bottom lid. Yeah, let's just skip the bottom lid completely in this test. Or, yeah, I'll just delete it. Let's just stick to the top row here. Make it much simpler. Because it's just going to be the same exact thing on the bottom. Lid, release upper. Okay. Parent those to joint. So order these how I like them. Cool. Alrighty then. So now we need to run a little bit of code just to attach these joints. Get them to follow along. Although I guess we should create a control for each of them. It's not necessary for the sake of this test, but probably should. I probably have probably have a script somewhere on my shelf to do that. But where? Hierarchy B. What does B stand for? I wrote all these buttons like, honestly, like 6 years ago. I don't know what any of these do anymore. I don't know what the B stands for. What did you mean, Ancient Josh? Let's just click higher J, see what happens. Got some sort of error at some point. Didn't seem to actually connect it. It's also a very old naming convention. What about the one with B? Nope. So this one worked, but it's also... I parented the joints directly to it, but for the sake of the test, I guess that's fine. Maybe. But before we worry about that, let's give these joints different colors depending on their row, just so we can easily tell them apart. And I'll just do that through my proprietary rigging system, because I have some color assigning sections here. Let's make the inner one yellow, and the outer one, or I guess I don't want them a vibrant color, because that's what my controls will be. So let's just make them light blue and dark blue. Or maybe we'll do blue and red. That's dark blue look. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Maybe I'll just write a tiny little script just straight in Maya to create each of these controls here. Joints is equal to cmds.list selected for joint in joints. Control is going to be circle. Name is joint.replace. So weird writing outside of Sublime. Joint.replace bind with control. No construction history. Radius is equal to, we'll just start at 1 and see how that looks. And then give it an offset. I usually just leave it empty and then parent it manually afterwards for complete control. The name is going to be this, but with group, or I guess offset instead of control. Empty. Thanks for the follow, Newsamundo Novi. Butchered that name, sorry. World. Parent, the control, do the group, and then zip the group over with a parent constraint. To the joint. Delete that. And then finally create an actual parent constraint from control to the joints. Thanks for the follow, Chrono. And then just for the sake of this sloppy, or no, I guess we will just create a direct connection here. Thanks for the kind words, DJ Moralejas. Did I say that right? And thanks for the follow, Shadows Light. All right, just gonna connect scale just for the sake of the tests. Why not? X, roll. Joint. Copy this over for Y and Z. Wonder if this will all run without error. We'll see. Nope. Invalid flag rad. What is the flag for radius? Maybe it's just R. Yes, but more than one object matches lid crease upper O3. Wait, why? Place underscore bind. Oh, I forgot to add the suffix to these. And that came out as a list. We need it as a string. Just tell the control to always make it a string. Hooray! Okay, that radius was too big. Let's lower that and run it again. 0.25 maybe. Looks pretty good. Cool. Alright, so we got all of our controls here. Just throw that under the control group. Call these the... Let's make another group under here called tweak controls. Hit F9 to switch into component mode and just drag these all forward a little bit so we can see them. I'm actually kind of wishing they were a little smaller now, but yeah, I guess I'll just undo that and run it again. Can also add a parent line under here, or do I want to? No, I'll just do that manually. Can't even see them. There they are. Yeah, that's fine. And let's give them a color. Make them all purple. I guess I should make these all a slightly different color. Maybe all the lower ones should be red for now. Okay. No, I'm gonna leave them purple. It's not the most user-friendly, but I'd have to come up with another color because I'm gonna have a major yellow control and then some moderate red controls, and these are our fine granular tweak controls, so I guess we kind of need them to all be our tweak control color unless we come up with like a sub tweak control. I guess we could just make the outer row black for now just for readability. I'll come up with what colors to use differently later, or maybe we'll just make them the colors that match the joints just for simplicity. Wait, what just happened? Oh, I was supposed to press down first to get to the control instead of the offset. So this is going to be bright blue, and then dark blue. Okay, that should be fine. Group these as tweak control group. And I guess we might as well group these two sections as well. Eyelid Reese week control group, and then the same name but without it's. All right, now we need to attach all of these groups to the curves. Jick Designs is saying, hey Josh, I have a question that's off topic of the eyelid. For correctives that require a broad range of support, what kind of driver do you use? Pose interpolator, RBF weight, distant nodes, etc. Most of the native tools have limitations, especially when the rig is built using offset parent matrix setup. I'm not sure what you mean by a broad range of support. I've personally avoided the built-in Maya stuff just because I haven't ever really taken the time to get used to them, and they seem a little complicated in regards to like scripting them out. I use this one that uses angle nodes that I follow a tutorial for on Vimeo. I don't remember exactly what that is off the top of my head, but I remember it uses angle nodes and probably some decomposed matrix nodes in there. And so I just have that scripted out, and I reuse that method. I used to use the UV on a sphere method, but Maya 2020 has, or I don't know if it still has, a major bug with point on surface, I believe, closest point on surface, that caused those to make all of my rigs run at like 1 FPS or worse in Maya 2020. So I had to script a replacement for all those UV based PSDs and replace them with the angle version. But it seems like Maya's built-in pose reader stuff is actually pretty good. I just don't fully understand how it works under the hood, so I wasn't comfortable scripting it out. So I've yet to dive into that. Okay, so we've got our control groups. Now we need to grab my attach script, drop that in. Just look at my brow file and steal the call line. Where am I attaching to curve? Okay, here it is. So this is the group of code that I'm using in my brow script to attach stuff to curves. So let's just retrofit this for joint in, or not joint, for offset in offsets. And our offsets will be, I guess I'll just use the same select one and just select them in the outliner. Guess we'll go one at a time. So we want to attach all of these to lid upper curve. Chick Design says my in-post interpolator uses local matrix connections, which is unfortunate with the offset parent matrix setup. Good to know about the speed hit with the UV sphere driver. I was looking into it. Yeah, it's possible they fixed that bug. I did get Will and some of the other Maya guys to acknowledge it on Twitter and stuff. And they said they diagnosed it. I don't know if they fixed it for 2020 or 2022, but either way, it's a less elegant solution than the one that I mentioned. If you go on Vimeo and type in, I don't know, Maya pose driver or something, you should see one of them. I forget the guy who did it. Let me see if I can just find it real quick and drop it in the chat. It seems to work really well for me, and it doesn't have any limitations compared to the sphere-based one. Let's see. The search button on Vimeo is doing nothing. Does anyone even use Vimeo anymore? Maybe I need it on a non-vertical monitor. There we go. So Maya pose driver. Let's see if anything comes up for that. Nope. Maya pose reader. Not see. Oh, wait. No, that's not it. I see one from Marco Giordino, and I think that is the guy who did it. So let me type in Marco Giordano pose. No, I guess that was the... Oh, that's not it. I'm just seeing the texture-based one. Yeah, maybe it wasn't him. Shoot. Sorry about that. I'm unable to find it for now. But the one that uses angle and decompose matrix is the one that I recommend. You made your own pose reader using distance nodes, but of course it has limitations. You have to make correctives in 90-degree increments. Well, I have that limitation too with the angle version and with the whatchamacallit, with the texture-based one. And so if I have to do an elbow or something that needs more than 90 degrees, I just use 2 back-to-back, and it sucks. It's pretty sloppy, but yeah, that's what I'm doing for now. Okay, so let's attach these joints here. Kid, I don't think we need that line. That was just from what we were doing in the browse script. Rig utils. Actually, yeah, I guess we do need to do that. I guess I should have done 2 levels of offsets. Let's just do that. Because when we attach these groups, they're going to jump literally onto the curve, so we need to kind of unparent its child and then reparent it with, and let the values kind of shift on their own. All right. So let's open up comment rename again. Let's add 1 to the end of each of these, and then we will group each of them. I should have a button to do that. We'll see. Group, group, group. What does this one do? I think that'll probably do it. Oh, this says 2 of them though. Let's comment out group 1. Let's see if that works. Error, group 1 is not defined. Must have mentioned it somewhere else there. Where is it mentioning group 1 after that? Oh. There we go. Are they all in the right spot? Looks like it. Let's just use comment rename to fix that naming issue though. Get rid of off 1. Okay, we're good to go. So we want to attach all of these, and it grabs its child, unparents it, attaches offset 2 to the curve. then reparents the child, turns off inheritance transform. All right, let's just try running that. Error, offs not defined. This should be offs, not joints. Okay, did that work? Looks like it. Hooray. So let's then grab these other ones and attach them to lid grease upper. And did that work? Hooray! All right, so all of our joints are attached to these curves, so let's minimize the script editor for now. Don't need that anymore. Thanks for the follow, DCA36. Twitch Jesus says, hi Josh, I think I find the tutorial. Can I share it here in the chat? Yeah, sure. The pose reader one. That would be great. And Animation Mob says, hey Josh, all this scripting, it's for the reusable rig tool you are creating, right? Or any high quality rigs has all these scripts? So the scripts I'm running right now are just kind of hacky just to attach these really quickly, because doing each one of them by hand would just take forever, and I already had some of these scripts sitting around. But nothing we do today is actually going to be dropped right into my scripts. It's more just for the sake of using Python to rig faster, even though we're still doing it manually. We'll end up rewriting the whole system later. All right. Build a pose reader with Maya nodes. Yes, I do believe this is the one. Thanks for that. That is the one I use, it looks like. So, Jick Designs, if you're still here, that Vimeo link that Twitch Jesus posted is accurate. Okay. So now that we have our joints following our curves, we need to create a control system to actually... Oh, shoot. You know what? I completely forgot to rebuild the curves. Shoot. The curves... Yeah, we're going to have to undo and actually reattach these later. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot we need to rebuild these curves to only have as many CVs as we have major controls, which we have not created yet. So I'm debating whether we should make it three major controls to deform the overall lid shape, or 4. As animators, if any animators are here, do you prefer there to be 4 major four major lid shaper controls, or 3? So that'll determine how we rebuild these curves here. Curves, rebuild, reset, number of spans. Let's see what it looks like when we do it. 4. I wish you could make curves without these annoying knots. But outside of... Do we want to build it with knots? How do we turn it off? 0 to 1, keep ends. I think when we script it out, we won't actually build the curve based on the perfect shape of the eyelid. We'll just do it by creating a CV at the point of each control. So it doesn't really matter, because I don't think I'm actually going to use this rebuild in the final version. So maybe we'll just create some controls. I think we'll try it with 4 for first, and then we'll just remake those curves based on those. So I will just duplicate one of these and unparent them. and roughly position them 1, 2, 3, 4 evenly spaced. Hello, Rita. Jik Design says 0 to number spans. I'm not sure what you meant by that. Rita, we're debating whether or not we want 3 or 4 major shaper controls for the upper and lower lid. Hello, Effie. Let's swap this control shape out so it's more easily differentiatable. Is that a word? And these will be red. And let's make them, I guess we'll just make them squares for now. Why isn't square working? More than one object matches. Oh, it's because I duplicated it without renaming it. Whoops. Oh, Jik, that was for the rebuild option. I'm actually just going to recreate those curves from scratch once we get our stuff into place to make sure everything's in the right spot. Animation Mob says, hey Josh, do you know some rigs when you move the eyebrows you get some sync folds? How is that done? And I assume you're saying, do you think it would be a good idea to add that to the eyelid, some folds when the eye is open? I'm not fully sure what you mean by that. Skin folds when the eye is open. Can you elaborate on what exactly you mean by skin folds? I'm gonna have controls for like the crease between the brow. Like you'll be able to move this line up and down. I'm not sure if that's what you mean. But if we're talking about like really granular skin wrinkles, this is a simplified animation character that I'm not really going to worry about that kind of stuff with. It's more like for games and VFX, but most of my rigging is done for stylized characters. Alright, so we'll call this L lid upper 01 control. Copy this name up here. Make that offset 2, not 3. And now we should be able to replace the shape here. Why didn't that work? Oh, you know what? I think the way my custom rigging system works is that it's just expecting it to be under the control group, so maybe I just have to put it there. Nope, it's still not working. It's still... oh, maybe the shape node didn't get renamed. I think I have a utility to rename all shape nodes. Or not. Maybe under here? No, I can't use this outside of my building pipeline. Oh, you're doing the same thing right now, FP? Nice. The orbital rim, the meat above the eyelid. Oh, so when the eyebrow raises, you get wrinkles? But Animation Mob was saying, and we'll look at his video he just linked.
My job is to make college easier because students...
He was saying when the eye opens, so I would assume it's something between the brow.
An econ major who piles on the pressure. Grammarly can help her stress less.
This term paper's gotta be great. It's a third of my grade.
Your ideas are on the money.
Very nice how that pushes the full... you bend these...
Where in here are we looking?
on the lower part here. Like this. And move eyes around like that. It's all separate. And you can see how the controls move on the rig. Everything is there. This squat.
What exactly am I looking for in here, Animation Mob?
It's interesting too. All of this on the side of the channel and your overall square.
Oh, when I clicked it, it took me to a mouth section.
To completely resculpt the form and lines of the mouth. It's very cool. Very nice how as you go in here, so let me just push back, folds back. You can
yeah, this is where it took it when I clicked it.
You break it, but that's pretty impressive. I gotta say, it's very cool. Very clean curves, and you got these throughout. You got the bigger shapes through there.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're asking about.
Smaller shapes here to completely resculpt the form and lines of the mouth. It's very cool. As you go in here, so let me just go back and grab that jaw.
Why is it saying more than one object? I feel like there must be a bug in my system somewhere. Maybe a different one works? Damn. It must just have to do with working outside of my rigging system, so I'll just manually shape it for now. Make it look a little different. Alright, so we got one here. Just put it roughly 1/4 of the way through. Or not 1/4, but, you know, so that we can have 4 of them here. And then duplicate it. And again. And again. Rename all these. Wait. Oh, whoops. I read that wrong. Should be number 2. Director Roth says, hello Josh, quick question. From your experience, do you think an eyelid to eyeball collision setup is worth the time and effort to account for a bulging iris, for example? Have you ever heard of an animator or a direct request for such a feature? For a stylized character like this, absolutely not. I've never even heard of that happening or being a thing. If you're working on a high-end VFX production, then, you know, maybe. That's probably a bit more common in that field, but I've never personally encountered that in my career, which has only really been stylized characters. All right, so we got these 4 here. Raise this up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now let's duplicate all 4 of these and move them up a bit. These will represent the brow crease, or not the brow crease, the lid crease. Okay. Now let's rename these bottom 4. Replace upper with crease upper. Cool. Now let's group these and name them. lid, crease, control group. Upper. And lower, or wait, no. Sorry, these are both upper, but this one is not crease. Okay. So we got lid tweak group, lid upper control group, lid crease upper control group. I guess we don't need, we don't need upper listed anywhere because we're only testing it for upper. But guess I'll just throw it in there just to be clean. Lid upper tweak. I should change the way this is named here. Replace crease upper with upper crease just to make that order the same as the other objects. Okay. Okay, so now that we have these here, I guess we should probably also make some red controls for the corners. Just take one of, well, I guess we'll need to do it with both times. Duplicate those, move them down here. Or, I mean, for the sake of testing, we don't really need to do this, I guess. I'll just leave that out. Hello, Tree Frog Writer. Nice frog emote. Someday soon we'll have emotes once we hit affiliate in like 2 or 3 days of streaming. I'll have to make some with some of my character rigs. Although we will start out with just one emote at the beginning, as I learned on my other Twitch account. And then once we get 15 subs, we'll unlock emote number 2, and I think 25 for the next one, and then 35 for the one after that. Let's drink these ones a little bit. Okay, and I will version up. We haven't done that yet. Happy birthday, September birthday, Tree Frog, if I understood that correctly. Okay. So now we want to recreate these curves. Or maybe I'll be super sloppy and just go in and delete everyone that doesn't line up. It's kind of sloppy. Nah, I'll just recreate them. So let's throw a quick locator into the corner for the sake of snapping the curve points to. And another. and one more. And then let's create a locator under each of these. Or around at the same point of each of these. So now we can just snap some curves to here. I don't really know the difference between cubic and Bezier. All right, let's hold down V and click here. Can't really see the curve because it's not isolated, but I think that's probably good. Oh wait, Bezier. We do not want Bezier. That was a weird icon I've never seen before. You can definitely ask any questions you want, Tree Frog Writer. Alright, looks like that worked. So let's do the last one. Should be good. The point is not for them to perfectly line up, but the point is rather to have each CV represent each of these red controls. I'm wondering if maybe we should do intermediate ones just so it's a little bit more accurate. Well, we'll just go with this for now. Do I work with mouse or tablet? Mouse. Or sorry, mouse. I literally just held up my tablet pen. Yeah, I haven't used a proper mouse in a long time. I also have a left-handed trackball that I switch to whenever my right hand starts to get tired. Very hard to find left-handed trackballs, but there is one that exists from Elecom. Alright, so let's get rid of all these locators, name these curves. Left, lid, upper CRV, and upper crease. World bind? How did that get just world bind? Okay, so now let's reattach all of these tweaks. Lid crease upper. Error. I guess I named this differently. Also, we want lid crease upper. L lid upper crease. Oh, right, we swapped that. Run that. That didn't seem to work. Oh, right. I grabbed the wrong curve. There we go. And then do the same for non-crease offsets. Nope. That's weird. Why didn't that work? More than one object matches name. This. Oh, I guess I need to add tweak into these names so they don't clash. Replace upper with upper tweak. Grab all these. There we go. Hooray. Alright, we're back where we started with that now. Mistaken Clown's asking why I decided to stream on a weekend. I didn't stream that many times this week, and I'm bored, so I decided to stream on a weekend. It's not actually working through the actual process of building my rigging system this time. We're just kind of getting ahead of the curve by experimenting a little bit with the manual setup, seeing how it works out before scripting it. Okay. So now we want to stick a joint under each of these red controls. Should have an old thing to do that with. Okay, there's a joint under each one. And I'll just, it's very old, so I'll just use comment rename to adjust to my new naming conventions. Let's get rid of that underscore control in it too. Oh, sorry, Tree Frog Writer, I missed your other question earlier. Can you tell me what rigging means? I find art streams in general fascinating, I think I can guess, but better not to assume. And Adrian B says, Tree Frog Writer, all of this nonsense you're watching Josh do right now is rigging. Basically, it's a process of converting a statue into a puppet. Does someone else tend to create the artwork the rigging is applied to? Usually yes, though I did design and design and model this model here, though, I mean, obviously you're not seeing much right now, only the eyes here. Sometimes I hire artists to design or model my characters too. How did you find me? Were you just looking under software and the new software category, software and game dev? And while you answer that, I will create 2 extra overflow joints here. And then one other one. Is this for a specific project? Yeah, so I create and sell rigs online, which are basically digital puppets, 3D puppets that animators download and move around to create animations with. And I sell some of those on my store, so this is me going through the process of coming up with some new rigging systems to use for my upcoming characters, including this one, which she's not fully in this file right now, so it's just for the sake of testing. But this one is Kayla 2, which is a complete rebuild of one of my first characters from like 6 years ago. And good to know that we're showing up in that category. All right, so we've got some overflow joints here. Just call it L lid upper extra bind. Why isn't that working? Corner in. Corner out. Do these tend to be for games? It can be. I am trying to make this a game-friendly rig, meaning we're using all joints and not any extra fancy deformation that's normally reserved for pre-rendered movies and sequences. But a rig, it's pretty much the same technology, whether it's a game or a movie or whatever else. Animation Mob says, can you explain what you were trying to do? As of right now, we are just experimenting by creating an eyelid rig from scratch based on some ideas that I've had, and just to see if it works and how well it works and if some things need to change before we devote the time to scripting it out. And literally, I'm just creating some extra joints to flood various skinning to once we start skinning. thanks for the follow, Tree Frog Rider. Happy to have you here. Alright, so now let's bind each of these curves. So we've got the overflow joint that'll just grab the CVs at the base of each one. And then each of these, and we want to skin this curve. Where is my skinning button? And whatever settings I have here is probably fine since it should automatically grab each one. All right, so let's see. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and skin the upper one as well. Hit G. Okay, so everything is working correctly. So when we create an overall control that will pull the lid down with just one straight control into a nice blink, all it's going to be doing is telling each of these controls to move to a new position. So we need to make sure these positions can turn the lid into a nice closed shape, and it looks like it can. I'm not seeing any issues with this. Although this might need to bring this one out a little bit. But yeah, that looks fine to me. And so we just need to create a blink control that probably just has a direct remap node connection to these offsets here. In theory... Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. So I forgot we need to make it conform to the shape of an eyeball, which I deleted from this scene because we don't need to worry about it, but we do need to get the lid to rotate around. So to make sure this system works for characters without round eyes as well as characters with round eyes, what we're going to actually do is not have a remap and a straight translation for each of these. We need these each to move along another curve that we create. So we're basically doing a layered system of joints riding on curves that are driven by joints that are riding on some vertical curves that we're going to create in the shape of an eyeball. If that makes sense. Darn 3D thinking, indeed, indeed. Gotta miss 2D sometimes. Whoa, we're lagging. Ooh. What is happening, Maya? Why are you freaking out? Adrian says, I love that you're making this work for characters that do not have round eyes. It's my first time doing that. Thank you for thanking me. Or saying you love that. But yeah, normally I just like put the pivot way back, but I do want to future-proof to make sure if I want to do a character with like actually flat-ish eyes that we can do this. Now the question is, once we create these curves, and I guess we can just go ahead and create one just so you see what I'm talking about. So if we just create why can't I see it? Where'd my curve go? Oh, there it is. So if we create a curve that's in the shape of an eyeball, see how those CVs look. They're a little sloppy. Let's just fix them up a little bit. Okay. So we've got one of these here, and then we'll basically duplicate these and modify it for each of our red controls here. We're going to have these be able to slide up and down them when you move just one blink control. Does that make sense? Just adjust the shape of them as needed. We're not going to bother actually putting a sphere in here because that'll just add another variable when we're just really trying to test things out right now. would you be using a path deform for this? Adrian is asking. I'm not sure what a path deform is. We're just going to be attaching these joints directly to these curves to be able to slide along them, which is the same thing we did to get all these tweak joints to follow along with this curve here. All right, so before we attach these, I'm going to take a super quick bathroom break. I'll be back. Although I'll answer your question, Effie. You said, what did you think about MetaHuman of Unreal? Do you think it will put us out of work someday? I mean, it was Riggers probably that made like Riggers or character TDs that came up with MetaHuman. So no, I don't think it's gonna put us out of work. It just means Riggers are doing cool things. But yeah, MetaHuman seems very cool. I'm sure using that as a base and then adding your own tweaks on top of it could yield some really cool results. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so we've got some new curves here. Let's go ahead and name them. So I'll throw that in there. Let's make these in order. Eyelid, upper. Or you know what? I guess we don't need to separate upper and lower for these curves. It's all the same. They can all ride each other. Eyelid. What will we call this? Blink 01 ERB. Why is pressing enter on the outliner not working anymore? There we go. Wasn't highlighted somehow. 02, 03, 04. Parent that there. So now we need to run our scripts to attach these yet again. Also, let's go to wireframe mode and just make sure these go high up enough and low enough, and it doesn't look like they do right now. So basically we want the lid creases, like the upper layer of joints, to be able to go deep into the skull when needed. And right now, or before it wasn't, so that seems a bit better. Let's do that for all of these. And last one. Should be fine, at least for this test. Okay. So now we need to run some code to attach these to these curves, just like we did before. Why is this not have a zeroed out value, but should be fine. So let's grab that code down here again. Attach these to lid upper, but oh wait, oh okay, we need to go one at a time. So we're attaching this one to Blinko 1. Run that. And if we go into the attribute editor for this curve, we should be able to get over to a point on curve info node. And you'll see if we slide this value up and down, looks like we might actually want to invert these, so 0's at the top and 1's at the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you're able to slide the position on this curve that this joint sits. So, do we want it to be percentage? Looks like it's the same thing. 0 to 1 is fine. All right, yeah, let's just go through and attach each of these. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. And then we'll do it for the creases as well. Seems like that all worked. So we should have 2 point on curve infos here for each curve. Hooray. Now I'm still not sure how we're actually going to drive these with the major control, but we'll come to that in a sec. Thanks for the follow, AgroLife. Director Oth says, very interesting approach to address the non-spherical eyeballs. Thank you. This is the first time I'm trying out a method like this, so we'll see how it goes. It's like this one could use a little bit rounder, but I don't want to really mess with the connections already. Or I guess since we didn't skin it yet, it'd be fine to shift this a little bit. Just for the sake of this test. All right. Sup, AgroLife? We are creating an eyeball rig that will work for characters with spherical eyes as well as non-spherical eyes. Where do I know you from? Did you just find us on Twitch, or are you familiar with my animation work already? Okay, so now that all that's working, let's go ahead and create a control. Duplicate one of these, repurpose it. Call this link. Get rid of this joint and reposition it to the middle. Make it a big old chonker. And turn it yellow. AgroLife says, nice, and I just found you tonight, dude. I just started studying software and games development at college this year, so want to take in as much info as I can. Well, then welcome to the fam, AgroLife. We just started a few days ago, kind of mooching off my professional following outside of Twitch, trying to get them over here, and we should be affiliated in a few days, and should be fun once we hit that. Even more fun than now. All right, make this yellow. So now what we need to do is when we translate this down, we want those point on curve values to go back and forth between 0 and 1. But the tricky thing is, in theory, I'd like the animator to be able to move this left and right to get these to basically react like that, to easily create those shapes without having to move 4 separate controls around. So I need to figure out how to create some math nodes that will orchestrate that happening, since the end value is still just each of these red controls being moved up and down on one, based on one value. AgroLife says, thanks. So what did you do for Disney, if you don't mind me asking? So I did training at Disney on stuff very similar to what you see us doing right now. And but most of what I did there was cloth and hair simulation on Big Hero 6 and Feast, which was the short about the dog who likes to eat food that played right before it. And cloth and hair simulation, basically an animator animates a shot, but all the characters' clothes look like they're just glued onto their bodies, and then they would hand it off to me and my coworkers to basically install a pre-made or make the pre-made cloth or hair simulation rig, install it into the shot, adjust physics by saying like how much gravity, how many wrinkles are there, stuff like that, and just get it through the shot, get it to not explode, and then do some art directed sculpting on top of that to match whatever the art director wanted you to hit. And that's mostly what I did at Disney. It was a 1-year apprenticeship. Okay, so basically for the one end value that controls the verticality of each of these sliders, we need it to go from 0 to 1 as it goes up and down. But we also need each of them to subtract or add based on the translate X. And also let's go ahead and just hide all this stuff. So how do we want to do that? Thanks, AgroLife. Appreciate it. So let's open up the node editor and stare at some math for a bit. So we definitely want this one. Translate. And we're going to connect these into probably some remap nodes. And then we probably need to add those remap nodes together to get the final result. So let's just go one at a time. So let's find that point on curve info node for just the regular. Hit select. And then add it to the graph. Why can't I see many inputs here? All right, so let's create a remap value node. And we know we want translate Y into this one. This is going to be the basic up and down motion. Input value. Call this blink Y remap. And we want it to map from, let's say, when this was, so this is at 0 here. How far do we want to go down until it blinks? Looks like around -5. So let's make this go from 0 to -5. We'll be activating, I think 1 was the top of the curve and 0 was the bottom of the curve. But actually, the complicated part here is that these, based on how the character is modeled, this joint and this curve, it starts at an arbitrary point. And we know that that arbitrary point is 0.399 in this case. Yeah. Where does it... Okay, so it actually doesn't... Is it a value of 2? No, 3? Looks like these particular curves go to 3. I wonder if there's a way to query... If we turn on percentage, it goes 0 to 1, but I wonder if there's a way to query what the total length of a curve is as far as, you know, that 0 to 3 number. Thanks for the follow, skills for you. And then convert that, do some math to convert that into what percentage along it is. I don't even know what the term of that is. So like, it looks like the max parameter is 3. Does anyone in chat know what the name of that would be? Like the max parameter here? How do we find out? Is it just the number of spans? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 6 CVs on this curve, and for whatever reason, the max parameter is 3. Let me look at the rebuild curve options and see if it gives us a clue. Number of spans, parameter range. Okay. Parameter range. So I'll look up how to query parameter range. Maybe curve info node to get the length, then normalize it. I don't think the length relates to this value. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with just how the curve is built. Like if I scale this up, it's still gonna go 0 to 3. So on my other monitor right now, I'm Googling Maya curve query parameter range. It might just be a built-in Python query, honestly. So here we have Python page. Let's just go to the one that isn't from 2011. Where do I have this? Python. MyPython 18. Curve. Let's find one called parameter. Oh, max value. There we go. Get adder curve1.max value. Hooray. So we don't need to actually use that right now because we're just doing it manually, but it's good to know that that exists so that when we script it later, we will be able to query that and then figure out the percentage. So if I undo back to when this was at its default point, which was 0.399, actually, yeah, we'll just do it in a calculator right now. I think we just do 3 divided by... Wait, I'm so bad with calculator percents. I always just go on Google and type in percentage calculator. I'm just gonna do that, and it's probably gonna tell me something super embarrassing about how to do it. Percentage calculator. And we need to know what percent of 3 is 0.399. Right, 0.399 is what percent of 3? 13.3. Now, how did it find that out? I don't like this calculator. The other one tells me how it did it. Calculator.net/percent calculator. That's what we want. 0.399 is what percent of 3. And the equation is 0.399 divided by 3. And then it tells us it's 0.133. So then we just have to, in our head, move the decimal point over. I'll just keep this up on the other screen and just do it, because why not? All right, so 13.3%. So if I turn on percentage and type in... Actually, I guess we just need 0.133 because it's still 0 to 1. Is that the same spot? Looks like it. Okay, cool. But actually, the other problem we now have is that even though we know that, we basically need to... This is challenging. To do a remap node that starts in the middle. We basically need to find out at what value, what translate y positive value this pivot represents getting really close to here. And then say the remap value node's inputs start at that negative number. I guess maybe it's not even that complicated. Maybe we just literally parent constraint or point constraint snap this to the end here and just get that value. So translate y. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So when I script this out later, I'll query the world space position of this point, and then I'll literally just move this control there and see what the value is. So we know that the input should start at 1.476 on this remap, and it'll go down to negative 6.135. And the corresponding value will be 1 to 0, I believe. Or was it 0 to 1? We'll start at 0 to 1 and see if that works later. Okay. So if we plug this out value into parameter, it moved. Why did it move? Thought that would not make it move. I guess because it's a literal curved curve, it's not going to perfectly line up, but it's close. Let me see what the difference in that jump is. 1 second. So when we connect the out value parameter, jumps a fair amount. Let's see. The reason we don't want to just do a closest point sort of setup, I guess we could do a closest point setup. We just have to create some nulls underneath this guy that represent each of the four, and then that would also mean when if we were to rotate this side to side. No, that would be a little sloppy. I think we're on the right track. We just need to figure out how to make this be at the right place. It's very weird. I wonder if there's if we could just do like wonder if we can do like a graph curve on this remap node, like a literal curve for interpolation that would make it better line up. What if we just switched it to smooth? Why did that freak out? Make sure specified attributes are valid. What the heck? Why would that give me an error? Smooth. There we go. That. How does that work now? No, that doesn't work. Where'd my music go? Not your music. I have my own music playing in my headset and it stopped. Okay. So what about spline? I feel like I'm gonna need to consult some super smart mathy people to figure this out. So linear definitely works best. But as far as a linear value going from this point in space to this point in space, because this line is curved, it doesn't line up. But actually, you know what? I think it's because of the way we created this curve and how... Yeah, that's it. It doesn't have a smooth 0 to 1 translation because these points don't perfectly line up. So I think we actually do need to rebuild these curves before we attach these objects to them if we want it to have a perfect situation here. But in theory, maybe... So maybe this one is supposed to start higher. We can just kind of, for the sake of the test, just sort of push it into position, make these evenly spaced out. At least towards the top. But when we script it out later, we'll add a rebuild. Okay, that's pretty close. All right. So now, there we go. So it moved up and down just great. But what we need to do is get the horizontal to subtract and add a specified amount based on which one it is. And I don't think we'd want to do it on this one because it's so close to the middle. But we can at least sort of figure this out based on this one. So we definitely want to kill this connection for now. Move this off to the side. Create a second remap for X. Connect translate X into it as input value. Now, what do we want to do with this remap? When it moves up and down, so I guess we're going to use the same values as this one had. I think it already probably has them. Yeah, it already has them because we duplicated it. So when it goes from 1.4 to negative 6.1, we want to add a certain amount of translate, or sorry, wait. Yeah, when, okay, wait a second. So yeah, we don't want these values. Let's figure out what values we want, and we can just sort of eyeball it. Let's say -2 to 2. So when this moves from -2 to 2, what value do we want to subtract? I suppose we'd want to subtract a very small amount. So if 0 to 1 goes from all the way up to all the way down, let's say maybe 0.25. So -2 to 2, let's say we go from -0.25 to 0.25. And now if we add a plus minus average node to add these together, out value, and then the output of this goes to parameter. That works. Hooray! Wait, why isn't it going up when I go left? It's only going up a certain amount. I guess we want it to cut all the way across. So let's just like ripple each of these. -6 and 6. -0.75, 0.75. I think this works. Hooray! And you'll have a different value for each of these. And I probably want to add that as a rigor attribute on each of these controls. All right, I'm happy with how this came out. So that means we need to just grab all of our other point on curve info. And let's not worry about the crease right now. Let's just try to get this done. Like this one. this one. And this one. And then we're going to duplicate our whole remap system 3 times. Let's make this all smaller. Duplicate that over here. I'm not going to worry about their names right now. Translate Y. Wait, those translate X. Translate Y. Wait, what? Sometimes this node editor is real finicky. Cool. So it's moving that one not very much. Why is that? So our top value for this one should be 1.23. And the bottom value should be negative 6.178. Why is it only moving a little bit? How is this X doing? Oh, we didn't turn it into a percentage, that's why. Need to do that on all these. Or I guess I'll do it as we get to each one of them, so it doesn't pop all over the place. All right, so those two are working that way, and horizontally it is not quite yet because we need to adjust how each of these moves. So when this moves to the right, we want this one to move way, way less. For the X here, make this like negative 0.2 and 0.2, since it's very close to the center. And then we want the other one to be opposite. So let's just say 0.6 and negative 0.6. Hooray. 0.6 is a little much though, let's just lower it. 0.4 and negative 0.4. Nice. I think I'll make that first one even lower though. Negative 0.1 and 0.1. Okay, now let's start plugging in some other ones. Duplicate these again. Translate X. Translate Y. find out what those total values are, and also turn on percentage. So the top value of this one not hard to grab it. Come on. .118. And negative 0.586856. Cool. And the y of this one will be... Oh, wait a second. This one does not seem to be where we want it to be. Maybe we just adjust the curve position a little. No, I still want it up there. Oops. Okay. So the blank looks okay for those three now. How about horizontal? Let's lessen the effects of this. 0.2 and negative 0.2. Cool. One more to go. Okay, so let's duplicate this one more time. Drag it down here. Y and X. Translate Y. Translate X. Subtract it, and parameter and percentage. And then adjust these values as necessary. Oh, wait. We are going to have to do some interesting stuff in regards to when I script this out to find these exact positions without them shifting. Okay. So our blink is working quite nice. In theory, which should get this one to move out a little bit as it comes down. Or I guess we can just make it vertical for now. What the heck? That was weird. Kept trying to right click when I left clicked. I guess we need to adjust this curve to go lower. Alright, good enough for this test. Now let's get that horizontal one working. Need to flip that. Negative 0.2 to 0.2. Bit more. Negative 0.3 to 0.3. That looks good. Now the question is, So I guess this one needs to move more, actually. -0.4, negative 0.4. Close enough. But the question is, do we need to adjust the remap to somehow have a nicer midpoint, like an in-between shape, where this one is here and this one is here? So for the first one here, translate Y. If we wanted to do that, we'd have to basically create a bubble in this graph. And then turn them all into smooth, so it isn't so jarring. Or maybe spline. That seems to work well. Then maybe the opposite on the other one. One sec. Oh, is that spam? I'm not going to click that link because I think it's spam. I think I'm going to have to ban you, unless in the next couple seconds you tell me that was actually a super friendly link. So we're going to add that to this one too. Spline, spline, add a middle one. Oh wait, this is the wrong one. Or maybe we wanted it for both of them. And then the last one. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to script this stuff. I've done it before, but it's not exactly fun. Let's see how that works. All right, pretty close, pretty close. What about the second one? I guess we do end up doing it for all of them. Damn. Oh god, what's happening? Whoops. That seems not great. This is a very finicky thing to control. There we go. Kinda. Okay. The third one needs to go down faster. Or not the third one, the fourth one. You know, I could also adjust these by just letting them all be 0 to 1 and then adjusting the actual shape of the curve. That's probably the simpler way to do it. Much simpler. Maybe I'll just do that. Let's try that. Just go in and delete everything and make it linear. Okay, it's all back to being linear now. Honestly, kind of looks better than all those. So then if we move to like a halfway point, then just adjust some of this curvature here. Okay. Oh yes, much better. Yeah, we'll just control it on the curve then. Nice. Perfection. All right, well, we've been going over 2 hours. I think we got a lot done today. I will pick this back up probably sometime during the week, Monday or Tuesday. Thank you, Aguamentes. I do think it is satisfying. Yeah, but next time we pick this up, we will skin this as well as plug it into the crease controls and see how it all works. I will have to develop a way to be able to adjust the CVs here and like in the actual rig and then export them into the pre-build file or just have them their CVs automatically adjust or something, which isn't too bad, but it's more than I was expecting. But yeah, being able to move these CVs around on the fly is a big benefit. Thanks Roth, thanks Chrono. Hey Josh Plans. Josh Plans says, hey, team light to the party, are you guiding the eye controls on atom paths? Yes, we are. So we have 2 different types of curves. We have our overall curves. Wait, what happened? Why does this look sloppy? Oh well. So we have, one second. So we have these overall curves that represent the shape of the brow and the brow, or not brow, lid and lid crease. And all of these individual skin joints, which aren't skinned right now, follow along with that curve, and that curve is driven by these red controls here, like so. And then these red controls are riding along these vertical curves, and you activate that by translating this in Y, and then when you translate it in X, it adds and subtracts a little bit from each one to create that shape. And it worked out pretty nicely, except that we're kind of having to rely on manually adjusting the CVs on each of these curves to change sort of at what point each of these red controls hits each point while it's traveling down. And so that kind of changes the original position of each of these controls and joints, which doesn't matter too much if you haven't skinned it yet, which we haven't. And when this gets built in my scripted system, it'll obviously not be skinned yet, but I do want to figure out a way to make sure they all stay exactly put at the end of the day. But it worked out pretty nicely, and we'll continue with this next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let's roll the credits. Thanks for the follows. Skills for You, Agro Life, Tree Frog Writer, Apple Sky, DCA, Shadows Light, Chrono, Niza Moody DS, Moralejas, Spidey, Meshiao, Twitch Jesus, and Hoss. See y'all next time.